Welcome back, everyone, to Stories That Shouldn't Be Told. In today's episode, I'm sharing a true, terrifying story about a quiet, late shift and the customer who was never just there for coffee. Every story is a warning. Some people don't come in for a drink, they come in for you. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and share it with anyone who loves a good scare. And let me know in the comments, what are your favorite types of horror stories? Your support keeps the stories coming. Now, let's begin. I work at a small coffee shop downtown that stays open until midnight on weekends. It's usually quiet after 9, just the occasional college student or late shift worker. That's why I noticed her immediately when she walked in, around 10:30 on Saturday night. She was maybe in her 40s, well-dressed, carrying an expensive purse. She ordered black coffee and sat at a corner table, pulling out her phone. Nothing unusual about that, but then I started noticing the pattern. Every few minutes, she would glance up at me, then back at her phone. These were deliberate, studying glances, like she was taking notes. When I moved to clean tables, her eyes followed me. When I went behind the counter, she shifted to keep me in view. I tried to shake it off. Maybe she was just people watching. But after 20 minutes, I realized she hadn't touched her coffee once. It sat there, steam long gone, while she continued her surveillance. That's when the delivery guy showed up. Young, early 20s, wearing a generic food delivery uniform. He approached and asked for Sarah. That's my name, but we don't get food deliveries at the shop. I told him I was Sarah, but hadn't ordered anything. He smiled and said it was already paid for, probably a surprise from a friend. He handed me a bag that smelled like Chinese food. Before I could protest, he was heading for the door. The whole interaction felt rushed, rehearsed. I looked at the bag, then back at the woman. She was watching intently now, not pretending to look at her phone. Something cold settled in my stomach. I set the bag on the counter without opening it. The woman suddenly stood up, leaving her untouched coffee, and walked over. She had this concerned expression, like a worried mother. "Honey, you really shouldn't eat that," she said, voice dripping with fake sweetness. I saw that delivery guy acting strange outside. He was messing with the bag. My heart started pounding. How could she have seen him outside when she'd been sitting in the corner, facing inward? The windows didn't give her that angle. I stared at her, trying to process what she'd said. "You should throw it away," she continued, reaching across the counter for the bag. "Better safe than sorry. These food delivery scams are getting crazy." I pulled the bag back instinctively. That's when I noticed her hands were shaking slightly, and there was something dark under her fingernails. Not dirt exactly, but something deliberately placed there. "Actually," she said, tone shifting, "why don't you come around here and we can look at it together? I used to work in food safety. I can tell if something's been tampered with." She was trying to get me out from behind the counter. Every instinct screamed at me not to move. I glanced toward the front windows, hoping to see people walking by, but the street was empty. We were completely alone. "I think I'm okay," I said, voice smaller than I wanted. "I'll just throw it away." Her smile faltered for a second, revealing something that made my blood freeze. "Sweetie, I really think you should listen. That delivery guy is still outside. I saw him get into a windowless van. That's not normal." She was moving around the counter now, and I realized I was trapped. The back exit was through the kitchen, but she was positioning herself between me and that direction. The front door seemed impossibly far away. "Look, I appreciate your concern," I said, backing toward the register. "But I'm calling my manager." That's when her mask dropped. "Your manager isn't coming," she said flatly. "Neither is anyone else. Do you know how easy it was to find your schedule? Your social media posts about working late shifts? You should be more careful online. The room felt like it was spinning. She knew my name, my schedule, had been planning this. The delivery guy wasn't random, he was part of it. I fumbled for my phone, but she was faster. She grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. "Don't make this harder than it has to be," she said. "Just walk outside with me. Nice and easy, like we're friends." I yanked my arm free and ran for the front door, not caring about anything except getting out. Behind me, I heard her curse and heels clicking rapidly on tile. I slammed through the door into the street, screaming for help. A police car happened to be driving by. They pulled over immediately when they saw me stumbling into the street, hysterical and pointing back at the coffee shop. When we went back inside, she was gone. The back door stood wide open. The delivery bag remained on the counter. Police opened it carefully, and inside, with normal Chinese food, was a small cloth that tested positive for chloroform. They never caught her, but security footage showed her getting into that windowless van. She'd told the truth about that part, which made everything more terrifying. They'd planned for me to know about the van to make me trust her. I quit that job the next week. I still wonder how long they'd been watching me, learning my habits, waiting for the right moment. The scariest part is knowing that if that police car hadn't driven by exactly then, I would have disappeared, and no one would have known what happened. That was the end of my story. But I still check over my shoulder every time I close up late. If you found this story chilling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true horror stories you'll wish weren't real.